It's been a while, but we're back. Welcome to This Week in Plymouth. The Plymouth School Board met on Monday the 1st of April, where re-elected board member Amy Lee was renominated and voted in as chair of the board, with Frank Gonzalez being named the new vice chair. The select board met this past Monday on the 8th. The board heard from both the police and fire departments on the needs for new parking meters and a new tanker truck.
New purchase orders and grants. We have a purchase order here from Palm Incorporated. This is for parking meters.
These are the purchase order for the South Main Street project. So initially when we did it, we thought we would just do Park Mobile, but I don't think that's feasible. I think we still have a large population that wants the meters. So this is an order for all of the meters, the posts, the heads, and the inserts that are going to go down South Main Street. I think we have figured in about 10-ish that are replacements that need to be replaced through towns anyways.
How is this budgeted for?
This is through the parking fund, and currently in the parking fund, there's about $187,000 in the parking fund.
But but this wasn't planned as an expense
It
this
was
year?
not planned. What was planned in the downtown drainage project was just the poles to put signs on them. So no, it was not budgeted for this full proposal.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the parking meters for a sum total of $42,899.60.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. We got the fire department here. Talk about a tanker.
You all should see the letter for the purchase order for a Pierce tanker. This is going to replace the 1997 Freightliner Smeal tanker that we have presently, the behemoth, if you will, that you see drive around town. I would say it's fair to say we got a lifespan out of it. The 1997 is having significant motor problems. We're constantly chasing the motor. It's got significant rot because it is old. The body's rotting out, the frame's rotting. We have looked at the option of refurbishing it. It's just not practical. It's actually to the point where it's more of a concern as it goes out, for long distance fires. We have provided you with 4 quotes: Lexus fire trucks, Rosenbauer, Pierce, and E1. The truck that we did came in the lowest, ironically, and that the committee all recommended was Pierce. It's been a horrific process, and mostly because of the fact that the market's changed so dramatically.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the lease agreement for $960,065 through Franklin Savings Bank, with the understanding that we can meet the deadline to receive the prepay price on the equipment, and that Scott be the sign-off for the lease and purchase agreement.
And that the lease contain a non-appropriation clause.
And that the lease contain a non-appropriation clause.
Thank you.
Right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Additionally, Town Manager Scott Whedon updated the board on the consent decree with Kirk's.
The other exciting agenda item of the evening.
Yes.
Scott, do you want to intro this for us?
Sure. So, as I stated in my report, is that we started this mediation ordered by the court back on February 28th. And as you can see, it's taken a few weeks to get to where we are today with regards to making sure that this consent decree gets put in place. Once this gets submitted to the court, it becomes a standing court order and is enforceable by the court based on the dates that are included in this, with regards to Mr. Kirk going and applying to the zoning board for special exceptions for his junkyards at all 3 locations. And it does stipulate the number of vehicles that can be in there. And the other thing is by September 30th, this has to be in place. So what that means, if it's not in place by September 30th, Grafton County Superior Court will start levying fines based on this consent decree not being followed and adhered to. Because if the board signs it tonight, what it does then, it goes, I will take it tomorrow and scan it to our town attorney, Will Warren, who will have this signed by the presiding justice tomorrow at Grafton County Superior Court. I think we're at a place where it's in the best interest of the town to move forward with this, to come into compliance. And Mary Ann had a question for me, I think over the weekend, was why haven't we done anything before on this? It's because prior administrations didn't want to deal with it, is what it comes down to. And when I started in 2021, we started working with him. And when the court saw all the efforts of what we've tried to do in good faith to get him to come into compliance, they said, work on a consent decree, you get it signed, get it in place, and then you have a standing court order for compliance.
The way I read this, if they deny the special exception, everything in 5, that whole thing just gets stricken.
Correct.
So then none of that's agreed upon. And would we have to go back to mediation at that point?
We don't have to go back to mediation because they've denied the special exception and he would have to comply with it. What he would have is 30 days for a rehearing in front of the zoning board on the special exception. And if he applied for that rehearing, he could go back in front of the zoning board, make another plea for the 3 properties as a junkyard. If that was denied, he does have the means to go to Superior Court. But Superior Court would have this in front of them as the presiding justice has signed as the consent decree in place.
Our lawyers were very comfortable with this, kind
Our
of
lawyer recommends this being put in place.
with the unpredictability of whether or not ZBA. Okay. And when it goes to the Superior Court, if there's a fine involved, would they assess the fine?
That is
or
correct.
It's not in the agreement, though.
No,
It's
it's not in the agreement, but it's assessed based on the fines that are allowable through state statute.
Make a motion that we accept and sign the consent decree for Kirk's.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The following night, the Water and Sewer Commissioners met for the first time since the annual meeting back in March. With an unexpected change, the first order of business was a swearing in of new Commissioner Stephanie Halter.
Yeah, let's start with oath of office, Stephanie.
Sure.
And,
I, Stephanie Halter of Plymouth, New Hampshire, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent on me as Commissioner of the Plymouth Village Water and Sewer District according to the best of my abilities, agreeable to the rules and regulations of the district, and that I will bear faith and true allegiance to the state of New Hampshire and the United States of America, and will support the Constitution thereof.
very good.
Commissioner Tom McLaughlin had a heated discussion with the other commissioners about the commissioner's stipend and his concern about it not changing in the recent decades and how this could hamper the public from running for office.
So next up is return to the discussion of commissioner stipend. You had brought that up. We did talk about this last time, and just to bring Stephanie up to date, you had suggested we review this and then certain salaries, but I think we discussed that it would be appropriate to do this at budget time.
The commissioners haven't changed the care fee since I was on here 20 years ago. And I complained about that. I complained about the furniture. I thought that we should bring a new look to this place to represent the new regime we're going into with all these improvements. We're spending $22 million out there. As far as the staff goes, they had a proposal to eliminate the director position and to have these two float up to take care of that position. And that was on the table for 2 years. And when I came in, everybody voted that that's what we should do that. And they got the rise, and we eliminated the $70,000 a year director.
District administrator.
Administrator.
Yes.
Plus, it had been Mel before that, and then we had this other professional guy. We have a little bit of a hard time getting good labor, as everybody does. And down at the plant and up here. And in the commissioners, there is no incentive. Nobody ever runs for this office. It's just a bit stale. I don't think we should kick the can down the road. I mean, let's just do this stuff. And let's set it, if we go for 500 rather than the 300, I think it sounds good. I mean, if you feel like, I don't want people, I've been on other boards, especially like zoning board, they go, hey, I don't get anything for doing that, you know? It's just volunteering. It can be an excuse for not putting your heart into the thing. And I feel that way with this, that it's kind of, it's been going on, it's nice you get $300 a month, but I'd like to feel like, that's a decent rate, and we should do our part. Because without this director, we have more responsibility too.
I think those are excellent points, but on 2 points. Number one, there is no, looking into it a little bit through the New Hampshire Municipal Association, there's no precedent in the state for a board like this to be paid.
I don't think it should be a low-paid situation. I got on this board because that pump station is so ugly. I couldn't believe the previous director, and that's why I wanted to get rid of him, allowed that to be built like that.
I think
So I know, but you know what? If I was here, that never would have happened.
The Campus Community Council held their first meeting since August of 2023 this past Wednesday. During the meeting, Jessica Dutile, the Director of Community Impact, gave updates on the upcoming events as well as enrollment information for next semester.
We have summer orientation starting June 17th.
How many people typically have attended orientation in the past?
So typically we have a class around 1,000. So moving on to the next fun topic, which happens to be Spring Fling. This year, first year in a while that we have a live artist, in addition to a student band opener and also our Groove Boston DJ. So we'll start with the student band opener. Doors will open at 8:30 on Saturday, April 27th. We will then have Lil Skies perform, and then we will end the night with the DJ. Our strategy is to keep the concert going until midnight so that we can make sure our concert participants are as tired as possible. It will be noisy, and we know that. And I'm sure we will have local residents who hear the bass during the concert. I have shared in previous CCC meetings that for 10 years my family and I lived on Russell Street, and we had college student neighbors, and it was loud. Senior week will take place the week of April 29th. We have an awards banquet. We have an event downtown, Pints with PSU. We have the Red Sox game that we are busing students to. We have Last Taste of Plymouth. So it is going to be busy that weekend, and expect traffic. I am going to give a brief enrollment update. So unfortunately this year, because of FAFSA, which I mentioned at the start, and the delays with that process, we have not yet given out all of the financial aid packages to students who applied to Plymouth State. It is really difficult for us to project what the incoming class is going to look like. Again, we typically are around 1,000. We love it when we have like 1,200 come in. And so I'm not prepared to even conservatively give an estimate, just based on where we are with FAFSA. We did push back that deadline, and we will have a better ability to project come June 1st. And so I will certainly keep Scott updated.
Following Jessica Dutile's information, Town Manager Scott Whedon gave updates about the town's end on ongoing communications with Plymouth State.
Over the past year, we've expanded some things based on sustainability of both the town and the university. And a couple of those things is obviously we have been allowed to use the parking lots here on Court Street. And again, this summer, we will be able to utilize those during the downtown construction project. Another area is, you've probably noticed traveling along Highland Street in the morning, that Plymouth State University security detail does the crossing guard detail at Highland Street and Old Ward Bridge Road and Reservoir Road. And that was because Alex had posted this position. We had a gentleman who retired over a year ago now, and we posted the position, had no applicants for the position. So in trying to be creative, Alex worked with Steve Lefebvre, and we came up with, well, if the university security could do the crossing in the morning, there was a shortfall on coverage for policing in the afternoon of a 3 to 4 hour block. So the trade-off was, if you do the crossing in the morning and the afternoon, we'll cover the 3 hours of police coverage on campus. And that's worked out very well. We haven't had any problems or issues with that. The other part is, everybody knows how the labor market is, and Plymouth State University Police has had difficulty in hiring officers. So we have been able to provide officers to cover miscellaneous shifts when requested at a detail rate. And Plymouth State University has paid for those detail rates. Another piece is, we're going to be having trash receptacles on either side of the bridge. We've worked with Holderness on this, as well as Robert in the Parks Department. And the nice part is, we'll provide the trash receptacle on the Plymouth side, and Holderness will provide the trash receptacle on the Holderness side, but facility services will be picking up the trash and emptying it. So it won't be another responsibility of the recycling center or the Parks Department. And this actually was brought to us by a group of Plymouth State University students that wanted to undertake this, and we gave them the charge of talking to both towns and trying to figure out a solution on how the receptacles would be picked up, and they did that. And it was a volunteer group that put that together. And I know people always have the concern of, is the university paying their share? And I think what's important to know, as of the end of February, we had received $533,556 from the university. $400 of that is for the Life Safety Services Agreement, but the other is miscellaneous for dispatch, for police details, for ambulance details, fire services, that they have stepped up and paid based on the requirement for us to provide those services back to the university. But that's just in the cash value of what they've paid. So I think just that relationship of opening up and them communicating with us being transparent and communicating back with them, has really benefited the town over the last 15, 18 months in moving our relationship forward.
Some announcements. The Beautification Committee, with the help of Girl Scout Ella Duchette, are working on fundraising for the new welcome signs for the town. You can read the full details on the town website. The NHPBS's award-winning show, Our Hometown, will be filming in Plymouth on the first and third weekend in May. If you or someone you know has a great story, not only about the town, but about the culture here, you can email producer Skylar Scribner at the information on your screen. Got Lunch Plymouth enters its 12th year here in 2024. The community program provides 5 days of healthy lunches for children during the summer break. For more information about enrollment or ways to volunteer for the program, visit their website at gotlunchplymouth.com. PBTV Spring Sports coverage is just around the corner. All games this spring will be recorded and available on demand the following day after the event. Our first game will be Wednesday, April 24th, when the Bobcats baseball team hosts Co-Brown. Looking into next week's meetings, the Pemmy Baker Regional School Board will have a meeting on Tuesday the 16th at 5 p.m. That was originally scheduled as a committee meeting, but made to a full board meeting. And also the planning board for the town of Plymouth will be meeting on Thursday the 18th at 6:30 p.m. at Town Hall. For executive producer Jonathan Picard, I'm Dan Salzer. Stay up to date with everything happening around the town. Be sure to join the town newsletter. Information and archived copies can be found on the town website. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Plymouth.